Greetings everybody, this is Roger Thunder. Going to do a video today on soul surfing. Actual surfing, but the term soul surfing might take on a whole new definition for you today. Welcome surfers from the West Coast and around the world if you're seeing this. Just going to expose you to an association that I'm putting together here called the Ancient Soul Surfing Association. Here's the logo. Ancient Soul Surfing Association, and this has to do with not only the soul surfing of the 60s and 70s, that was a term we used back then, but also the ancient concept, the ancient surfers, which had to do with a deep spirituality and goes back at least 2,000-3,000 years into all kinds of different places like Peru and let's say Polynesia and Tonga and places like that, the island chains, different places where there was surf. So my concept for this association is being at tune with Mother Earth, and Mother Earth is the ocean as well as the land, and Mother Earth, the rhythms of the ocean, the waves, are actually evidence of the energy of the planet, the energy of Mother Earth. And it's a very sacred thing. So surfing, when you caught a wave which originated as a ripple way out in the middle of the ocean somewhere, and it could be caused by wind mostly, as it rolled in rhythmically towards the shore, it grew and grew and grew, and depending on where you were, you would either ride a big wave or a small wave or a medium wave. But the ancient kings and queens of Hawaii and the ancient fishermen and the ancient mariners of all these island chains were very much in tune with Mother Earth. They navigated, they discovered the oceans, they went from shore to shore. Matter of fact, even the Hopi indigenous people of North America may have originated from the Polynesian chain coming over on reeds. But in any case, they had a oneness and a love and a sacred bond with the ocean, and that's the way it should be, in my estimation anyway, for the modern day surfer. They should be in tune with the rhythm of Mother Earth and show reverence for it, and actually use their surfboard as a kind of altar or reverence towards the ocean mother, the Mother Ocean, in much the same way that the Lakota say use the chanupa as a sacred object. You should be coming from that angle on a very spiritual level. That way you will be more in tune, you will catch more waves, you will have more fun, it will have a deeper meaning for you, a deeper spiritual meaning than just, hey man, I'm going to go out and rip and this and that. Now, back in the 60s and 70s, there was a term called soul surfer, and the reason that that term was used was because it was soulful. Many of us had that same attitude of being at one with the ocean and using it as a form of meditation, a form of being in tune with, and just a one-on-one deal. There was no competition. In other words, surfing was one of the only sports or activities that didn't require that you be in competition with anybody, although competition did arise in the form of surf contests and meets and things like that. I was never really big into that. A lot of guys were, but that kind of negates the whole concept of just doing it for the pleasure of being in attunement with the ocean. But anyway, back then in the 60s and 70s, we had our mentors And so for those of you who didn't experience that, and even new surfers today, that mostly ride short boards as opposed to long boards, going to give you a glimpse into the psyche, let's say, of myself and my view, and a lot of other people's view in regards to, do you ride a long board or do you ride a short board? And then I will give you some of the reasons that a lot of us looked at short boards as actually almost profane. But let's get into two famous surfers of that time that exhibited unbelievable, let's say, ballet type properties: grace, rhythm, being in attunement with the wave, using it to the utmost degree, getting the most out of it, while having fun and while exercising and while being graceful. The key word here is graceful. One of the guys back then was called Micky Dora. He was called the Cat because he had this graceful action, and he did a lot of moves, which I will explain as I'm showing these clips. And then you had Phil Edwards, who was also very much the same and a pioneer as Micky. Phil was more mild-mannered and just laid back, and so was Micky, but Micky was a bad boy. Micky didn't like the new crop of surfers, or kooks as they were called, coming in with their bleach blonde peroxided hair to make their hair blonde, and coming out with these boards that look like, I don't know what they look like, but they were god awful, let's put it that way. They were all kinds of colors, no class whatsoever. And so Micky took a dim view of this new group of people coming in, wannabe surfers, not real surfers. So I'm going to start off here with a clip. I think this is from Bruce Brown's Endless Summer, which was a great movie, one of the first great surf movies. And this features Micky Dora doing what he knows best. Okay, so first I'm going to start the clip and play the whole thing, and then I'm going to rewind it and go back and explain some of the moves. So this is Micky Dora, probably at Malibu, riding on his longboard. And enjoy. Okay, now I'm going to rewind this and explain some of the moves on here, and we'll see more of Micky in other clips. Here. Okay, let's try this again. Here he is, just starting off on the wave. He is on a longboard, he is at Malibu. Let's watch some of the moves here. Up into the lip, steps back with his leg to stall the board out. Okay. He just stepped back on the tail block of the board to stall it out and wait for the wave to build up. Because if he had kept going forward at that speed, he would have outran the wave. Now he uses his side slip. He trims up. This is called trimming. See that little side slip there? He's side slipping underneath the white water. He's arching his back, which gains speed. He runs into another guy, and this is why they called him a Messerschmitt, because he didn't like him in his way, and he just push him off, get rid of him, because these kooks would take off in front of a guy without any respect. Here he is trimming. See that little move? See that delicate move there? Slipping under the wave, slipping from the knees down, using that swivel action, coming back up and kicking out. Let's watch it one more time. Stalling out, putting the foot back, cutting back, coming up, stalling out still, running up to the nose, gaining speed, planting himself firmly near the nose, side slipping, arching his back, just underneath the white water, just to keep going really fast. Now he's got some kook in front of him who he just pushes off. All right, and then he's back up to the nose again. I'm telling you, if anything can go wrong today, it will, with this stuff popping up. I'll have to edit this video. Here he is, trimming up, still underneath the wave. Trying to get this down so that you could... There you go, trimming up. Swivel action from the knees and kicking out. Damn, man. Okay, I'm going to set this one up. I'm going to have to do quite a bit of editing on this video because I'm messing up a lot of stuff here. But anyway, we got Phil Edwards coming up here, and this is still a hymn before I get it rolling here. And you can see he's got the same graceful style. His style's a little bit different, but still that graceful style. So let's take a look at Phil Edwards here for a minute. Longboard, nice smooth turn, getting up on the nose. Did a little wipeout on that one. Longboard, turning, stalling out, waiting for the wave to build up. Running up to the nose, arching the back for speed, kicking out. Another nice smooth turn. Doing a little head dip there. Another head dip back in the tube on this one. Nice smooth. Nice little head dip here. Just smooth riding. Nice long board. Stalling out. Getting up to the nose real quick for speed. Just having fun. Here's one nice trim action underneath the curl. Here's another one. He kind of had a parallel stance. He would get back in that curl and just let the water wash over him, being in tune with Mother, being in tune with the ocean. Nice little stall there, then he stalls out, he runs up to the nose to get speed, trims up and just right over the top. Just having fun, working the wave, little cut back there with pressure on the back leg, stalling out by stepping on the tail block or the back of the board. All right. Little arch there for speed. Gain a little momentum, smoothly kick out. Got another little head dip there, up to the nose. Cut back. Look at that stance. Look at that switch stance, that crossing the legs. Walking the board. Trimming, getting speed. Little kick out there. Here's another nice wave. Little cut back, pressure on the back tail, stalling out, waiting for the wave to build, then getting up to the nose, quicker, arching. So graceful, just beautiful. Poetry in motion, really. Here's another one. Whoops. See, always about balance. It's always about balance, using the legs for balance. Walking up to the nose so delicately. Drop knee turn, turning back into the wave. See that cross step there? What a beautiful move that was. Back into the wave, cut back into the wave to let it build up. See that drop knee turn on the tail block? See that cross step there? Parallel stance, which means that the water could flow right through your legs as opposed to knocking you off the board. Trimming up, getting to the shoulder of the wave. And these guys could take 2 foot, 3 foot waves. See that cross step again? And then here you have like walking to the nose, trimming up, arching the back for speed a little, backing off, keeping your balance, coming back up again. I love the cross steps that he did. It's almost like Tai Chi or the martial arts doing a cross step. See how he uses that board, that wave, everything in motion, in tune with. Just loving the wave breaking on him. Nice fast wave here, trimmed up, back, all right. Stalling out, waiting for the wave to build, waiting for the wave to build up. Stalling out, just taking it easy. Nice turn, nice bottom turn, head dip, back up to the lip and out. Another little shot of that. Here's another one. Playing with the wave, you see that? Just playing with the wave. Being at one with it, gaining speed. Stalling out, running up to the nose. Here's another one. Always got that cross step, that drop knee thing here. Now he's body surfing. He fell off his board. See that cross step? Ooh, nice little arch. Nice small little wave, getting the most out of it. Right up on the nose. When you get up on the nose, it's like the board's 3 feet long, right? But you got the whole length of the board. That's why longboards were so good. Passed that guy right up because he knew what he was doing. And getting down into the crouch. Loving the wave breaking on him. Just enjoying Mother Earth. The rhythm of Mother Earth. The ocean. The oneness with it. Very graceful stuff, almost like a ballet. And believe me, these boards weren't light. You know, the 9-foot board did weigh a little bit and usually had a wooden stringer or piece of wood down the middle to keep everything together, the styrofoam. Got a little nose ride there. Stalling out again, running up. Planting some toes over the end, hanging 5 we called it, or hanging 10, depending on how many toes you got over the end of the board. Okay, I think we've seen enough of this action. Okay, now we're going to go back to Micky here. This is him walking up to the beach, probably Malibu. Here he is out on the waves, Micky the cat, doing his thing out there at Malibu. Looks like a little bit of a choppy day, but not as glassy, but still working the wave. Got that just classic stance. See how he uses the tail block of the board to cut back. Now he's going to do a little bit of trimming and side slipping underneath the white water. Guys would take off in front of him. He'd just push them off because guess what? They were kooks. And they would take off in front of him. You don't take off in front of a guy that's already got the wave way back from the very beginning of the wave. Nice little trim there, beautiful on the nose. Stalling out, stepping back. See how easily he swivels that 9-foot longboard around. Now he's going to go backwards and fall in. Now he's going to do goofy foot, which means switch stance, as opposed to having your right foot. Here he goes. Here he's coming into conflict with a few people. Oops, tried to skewer that guy. There he is again. Walking like a cat on that board. Just beautiful. Being at one with the wave. Trimming up, keeping it just slipping underneath that white water. Slipping just underneath it, stalling out a little, all in one motion, even without moving. He was a master. Up to the lip, back down into the trough. Cruising, just cruising. Smooth as silk. Stall out a little. Come back up, stall out. Slip down, gain a little speed, trim it up, kick out. Nice smooth wave, getting down, going to the bottom, going up mid wave. Just that motion that he uses with his knees, from the knees on down, just pushing a little bit on the back tail block. Oops. So there's a couple of clips of Micky and Phil just doing what they did in a very casual way. I hope you appreciated the short clips and just the fact about what soul surfing is. Let me explain to you a little bit about what happened as time progressed and as surfing became more and more popular. You had more and more guys coming in from all over the place, even the Midwest, United States. Everybody thought that it was a surfer and they wanted to get next to the ocean, and they went out and bought a cheap board. We used to call them plugs because a lot of the boards were just pieces of trash that you couldn't even fathom how they could actually surf on the thing, let alone try to surf. So they would go out there in the multitudes at places like Malibu and Rincon, and in Pacific Beach it would be Wind and Sea or the Point or the Pier, Pacific Beach Pier or Ocean Beach Pier or the Jetty. These guys started showing up in massive amounts, and the big thing back then was in order to be a surfer, you had to have blonde hair, which I didn't, and Micky didn't, and a lot of people didn't, but somehow, because of the Beach Boys and their blonde hair, everybody wanted blonde hair, so the trick was to take some peroxide and comb it through your hair until it bleached out a little, and then you'd go out there. And so you had all these guys that were into that type of thing, didn't know how to surf a lick. And pretty soon, instead of being outside sitting waiting for the waves with like 2 or 3 guys, you were out there with like 80 guys or multitudes of guys and girls. And there was an etiquette that was formed, okay, before all these people came out. When a guy took off at, let's say, the wave at its peak, when it was just breaking, when you were the first one to get in or drop in on that wave, that was your wave, okay? That was the unspoken etiquette, or just the consideration. You didn't take off in front of somebody and ruin their ride. Well, these kooks out there didn't know a damn thing about this, and they were all taking off on the same wave. Didn't matter if a guy was out there. So Micky got the name Messerschmitt. because he would go up behind guys, as you saw in the video there, and actually push them off the board if they got in his way, or sometimes he would even do atrocious things, just real naughty things, like try to kick out on them, and knock them off their board, or even sometimes he would come up real gently behind, right between their legs, just cruise up right behind them with the nose of his board right between their legs. And then he would jam his tail on the tail block of his board, which would cause it to rise up and just kick the guy right where he didn't want to be kicked. Off the board. So anyway, that's why Micky was called the bad boy of surfing, and he did outrageous things. He did so many outrageous things just to be a clown. He was like a sacred clown of surfing. He would do all kinds of things, say all kinds of things, which was completely against society's norms. So he was one of the first, let's say, black sheep revolutionaries against, let's say, the natural, not the natural, the societal norms, and he was more into natural norms. Freedom, baby. And but Phil was a little bit more mild-tempered and nice guy to talk to, and very, very humble. And but the point I'm trying to make here is that was soul surfing before all the multitudes of people came in, and soul surfing required a long board, not a short board. And then when the guys came in with the short boards, it's like they were all over the wave, whoop, whoop, up and down, just ripping the wave to shreds. They called it ripping later, all right? Well, to guys like me that were into the longboard, ripping was like a show-off, or, yeah, you know, let's do be an acrobatic surfer, or let's just rip that wave to shreds and just do what we want and kick ass and rip it up. And that mentality to us was juvenile, basically. And it was like, we don't need that stuff. We are out here to enjoy the serenity, the calm, the trimming up, the cutting back, the smooth flow. Not whoop, 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 up and down the board, up and down the wave. To us, that was like gymnastics or something. It wasn't surfing. But a lot of guys are going to disagree with me even today and say, and it has evolved to a certain extent where boards have become a little bit longer again, and guys are into it. But the people that I want to appeal to with the Ancient Soul Surfing Association are the people that want to be one with the ocean and want to be graceful and want to be relaxed and want to be in a meditative state. And I would say guys like Micky Dora and Phil Edwards were more relaxed, more cat-like, more, if you wanted to use a martial art, it would be like Tai Chi, more flowing, not aggressive in the sense of that you had to rip up the wave and not use it properly. So anyway, this video is, that's it. I just wanted to give you a short burst there of the surfing scene and what I'm up to. Of course, I'm living in the desert now, but I got a friend over on the West Coast, and we're talking about organizing this thing, and we really have. I actually copyright or incorporated that name in the logo, so I just figured it would give us a way to introduce spirituality and being in tune with Mother Earth to some of the guys and girls on the West Coast that wanted to actually realize the reverence that we're supposed to have with the planet and Mother Earth and the natural rhythms of her. So I'll leave it there today. This is Roger Thunder saying, Whoopee la aho.